Does Boros have an equipment addiction? A few days ago, Cassandra Eaglebearer was spoiled for the new Assassin's Creed set, and as you can see, this searches up the legendary equipment, the Spear of Leonidas, puts it onto the battlefield, and then it says, whenever a creature you control with the legendary equipment attached to it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And so here is the Spear of Leonidas. It's a pretty decent equipment. Honestly, this card here, Cassandra, is kind of medium power as far as Boros equipment commanders go. And so the reason I'm asking this question is because there's also a second commander of in this set, Ivor Battle Ready, in the same set, which also deals with equipment, and frankly, I think is quite a bit stronger than Cassandra, because this is whenever it attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of equipment you control to each opponent. And so I think that's a little bit more EDH friendly. Now you don't draw cards with it, so there's no draw in the command zone, so you can make an argument there. But showing the top Boros commanders on EDH Rec, we can see that the top 3 actually do not involve equipment. And so those are Wynota, which is humans, kind of a CEDH ultra powerful list. You have Feather the Redeemed, which is like a kind of a pseudo spellslinger combat trick deck, which is honestly, I've heard that it's just not super fun. I know Joey from EDH Recast talks a lot about Feather and how he kind of doesn't play it as much anymore because it's just a little bit of repetitiveness to it. And then you have my favorite, Osgir the Reconstructor. This is more of a lore hold card technically, but it's still red-white, and this deals with artifact tokens from your graveyard and making copies, and it's just a lot of value. I really enjoy that commander personally. But scrolling further down, we can see that there start to become the equipment commanders with Arden and Nahiri. If we go to the equipment sub-theme on EDH Rec, and so this is the 5th most popular theme on EDH Rec, behind artifacts and a few others. And so as you can see here, Boros has by far the most decks, 29,000 decks in the equipment theme, and this is just a huge number compared to everything else. It dwarfs everything else. Going to the Boros equipment theme itself, scrolling up to the top, Nahiri, Arden, Kellen, Wylith, Braenor, Ryu, Akiri, Astor, Jorkadine, Cole Forgemaster, Aurelia the War Leader, Akiri plus Arden. Arden is honestly probably the strongest card here, as you can see, just partnering with almost anything, giving you free equips at the beginning of combat in your turn, and also auras too. So if you have the odd aura, you can put it in there. Put this with almost anything. You put it with Kedis, you put it with Akiri Lionslinger, you put it with Rograth, son of Roga, and you just go nuts with that. Nahiri is one of the new ones that I really like. This has affinity, so it's quite a bit cheaper to cast, and then whenever a equipped creature you control attacks, you basically impulse draw that, that equal to the number of cards that way. And so this is a pretty strong equipment themed commander. You can cast them for free off that. Wylith I really like. This is a very solid one. Whenever it attacks, draw a card for each or an equipment attached to it. There's another one. Akiri, Fearless Voyager, I like a lot. Whenever you attack a player with one or more equipped creatures, draw a card. So if you attack 3 players, you draw 3 cards. Astor, Bearer of Blades is great. It makes your equip cheaper. A little bit similar to Arden. Not quite as explosive, but it's very good. And in ETB, look at the top 7. You may reveal an equipment or vehicle, put it in your hand. This is maybe more of a 99 card, Astor. But just chuck all of these in the same deck, honestly. At this point, I think you could build a Boros deck. Just you got a bunch of the new stuff here. Mabel's not out yet. But throw just chuck all of these in the same deck and see what happens. You could have a really fun Boros equipment deck with just all the legendaries in it. And so going to the equipment themselves, let's go over a couple. So the equipment themselves, first going to Scryfall and typing in equipment. So where the text includes equipment. There are 164 cards in Scryfall that say equipment. 127 of them are in the color identity red-white, which is just a huge percentage. That means that Boros is very heavily supported in this realm. Going to the equipment themselves, you have 506 cards, of which 419 are in the color identity red-white. Now, there's a lot of colorless equipment, but that's just so many cards, so many high-quality cards that could fit into these decks. You can do a lot of crazy stuff with it. You can play the Sword of X and Y. You can do Sword of the Animus. Obviously, Greaves and Boots and Skull Clamp and Shadow Spear, Helm of the Host, Mithril Coat, Commander's Plate. Just go nuts with these. It's kind of a satisfying strategy, albeit not the strongest strategy. So I see why Wizards has printed a lot of equipment commanders. However, at this point, I'm going to go down the list of Boros commanders and just look at what are some other other concepts that Boros could explore. And we already mentioned Winota, Feather, and Oskier. So you have artifacts, you have humans, you have combat tricks. Firesong and Sunspeaker is more of a spell slinger. Ferris Rockrick is multicolored matters. Othari is like tokens, kind of a token swarm. Aurelia has like a lot extra combat abilities. Neali is tokens again. I really like Neali because you get to impulse draw. I love that. Brian Stoutarm chucks creatures at your opponents, and that's kind of fun. Anima Calls is kind of an aggressive card. Queen Caleb and Krug is like a graveyard, like a weird recursion card that works interestingly. Again, we have Alabu with artifacts matters. There's a Goad commander further down. Here's a Baloth, Burial and Entertainer. Creatures your opponents control power less than his power are goaded, and you get treasure tokens when stuff dies. Depala is an interesting vehicles commander. Zerda is kind of a combo commander. And so you can see there's a lot of interesting ideas that Boros can explore. A new one, Taiwakeen Perfect Shot. This one's pretty interesting, kind of, although arguably it could be a little bit annoying to play against because you're just drawing like a crap load of cards off like 1 mana spells. There's cards that deal 1 damage each of your opponent's creatures, and you can do some weird stuff with that one. But I mean, they're exploring new concepts. I like that. Kadric Soulcaller I really like because it makes a lot of interesting tokens that you can create, and there's a lot of really cool things you can explore with that. And that actually brings me to just a concept, an idea for another way to take Boros commanders. And as you can see, I'm going to post it here. So we have Nadu Winged Wisdom. This is a really cool concept. 3/4 flyer for 3, and creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes target of a spell or ability. That includes equip abilities, by the way. You reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, put it in your hand. This ability triggers only twice each turn. Now, I think this card here would bring a lot of strength to the Boros archetype. Okay, I couldn't finish that. That was a joke. So Nadu has been making the rounds lately on Twitter and everywhere, and it combos with Shuko, and you basically just vomit out your entire deck with this card. It's just unreal. This card's probably getting banned. Sidebar. But here, for real, this is a card I made on mtg.design. It's called Adrakil, Heart of the Storm, and it gives your entire team squad 2. So it's a 4-mana 3/3 Flying Vigilance Haste, Fiery Speech. Each creature card in your hand has squad 2. And so squad 2 means you can pay 2 any number of times as you cast that spell, and the creature enters the battlefield, create that many tokens. There are copies of it. This is again more in the tokens theme, which Boros I feel works really well with that. And so Boros is kind of like a go wide, not quite as much as Selesnya, but I think this fits the theme reasonably well. Now I know this came from the Warhammer 40k set with more of like an Esper squad theme. I'm not sure why it was Esper, because like black doesn't strike me as a squad type color. I feel like squad could work in like almost any color could have squad. I think as long as you cost it fairly. It doesn't have to be squad 2. It could be squad 3 or 4 or whatever. It could be a different number. And so this card might not be perfectly balanced, but this is an idea that I think Boros could explore. I think that the equipment doesn't need to be the only thing that Boros has. As fun as it is to jam Nahiri and Arden and friends all into the same deck and build like a crazy Boros equipment deck, I think you can have other ideas like tokens like this. You can do cards like Kadric Soulkindler, Oskier the Reconstructor that really explore different aspects and ideas in the Boros colors. And so my question is to the audience, what do you guys think? Do you think that Boros has too many equipment commanders? Is Cassandra Eaglebearer, is this a sign that Wizards is just getting set back in their ways and all Boros does is attack and make equipment? Or do you think that they're being sufficiently creative lately? And I'd just like to remind everybody, if you want to like, subscribe, comment to the channel. I'm at 300 at this point. I'd love to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of, I don't know, a couple of months would be nice. I got to post a little more often to get there, but we'll see. So yeah, again, in the comments, let me know what you guys think about equipment in Boros.